This call is now taking notes. This call is now being recorded.
My network is acting up. So let's continue. If after installing Django, to check whether Django installed successfully. Me, I'm not sure it's installed successfully on my system due to these errors. But to confirm, you just say Django. You type Django and then type version like this. When you click enter, if it's installed successfully, it will display, it will show you the version of Django installed. So Django is not recognized, meaning this installation failed. Let's try it one more time. Let me try it on my system one more time. Let me be able to see what I'm doing properly. So okay, as it's still failing, let me go ahead and just create a new folder and install Django within a virtual environment. Make directory. Let me call this auth underscore project. This is what I'm doing because I'm having issue installing Django on my on my computer base. So I will go ahead and create a new folder. So please, if you can see my screen, indicate. Mesoma, is it too tiny or what? Is it that it's too tiny or? Okay, can you guys see it now? Okay, good. Let's continue. While trying to install Django, I encountered this particular error. Django chip is having problem installing Django on my base on my computer roots folder. So what I want to create a virtual environment that is kind of a subsystem within my system where I will be installing all the libraries I will be needing for this class. Instead of just installing them directly into my system, I will now install it in this virtual operating system, kind of an environment. Once I'm within that virtual environment, I can use any of those installed library. So to create, okay, let me now change directory into this my folder cd. Then to create a virtual environment, all you have to do is virtual env, then the name of your virtual environment. In our case, I'm going to be naming mine venv. I think I still have to install virtual environment first. Sorry. So use virtual environment, I have to use pip and install it first. So we say pip install virtual. If this continues, I think I might have to switch network. I'm having serious issues trying to install this thing here. So let me use okay, there is another way of solving this issue now. I think it's better. I'll be sharing another screen now. So let me go ahead and create a new folder, a new project from here. New project, then desktop. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Okay, good. So what will I name this project now? Let me go ahead and give this project a name. Django project, create. Yes, you guys should bear with me. Sometimes these systems can start acting up, especially when I'm trying to start a new project. I'm trying to present another screen, but it's okay. It should be better this way. Let me share my entire screen. So I created this Django project. How did this is I created? I just, as I was having problem with my terminal, all I did was come into open PyCharm on your system. Click on this menu icon here at the top, at the left top, or at the left top of your screen. Click on this menu bar, select new project, click on Django, and then name your file. So for me, the name I named this project, I named my own project Django project. So let's open our terminal again and navigate into this Django project. See the desktop. I'm zooming in so you guys can see what I'm doing. Change directory, desktop, then change directory, Django project, Django project, which is the name I gave to the project while creating it. So within this Django project, once you create this Django project, by default, it will create this framework for you. What is available in this framework now? Let's assess it. I think my terminal is still displaying. Okay, good. I don't know why this thing is delaying, but so right here, if you look at this place, you will see all the you will see all the folders created by default while I was trying to immediately I created this Django project. For example, it created this VMV, this virtual environment for us. Well, that was what we were trying to create earlier that was having issues. So by default, PyCharm just created this virtual environment for us. And then this is our root folder. In this root folder, this is where most of the actions will be happening. No matter the app you create, okay, we'll get to app creation, but it will create this project for you. Then templates. Template is where you will be creating all your HTML files and the rest. And then this manage.py, it's created there, is like the powerhouse of this our authentication software. So first things first, let's try and navigate into this virtual environment that Python created. And how do we do that? I think I have an open terminal. Let me make use of it. So to navigate into that particular virtual environment, the name is venv. You type venv /script /activate. When you click enter, okay, /script /activate. Let's try .venv. Okay, when you type in the right virtual environment part and click enter, automatically you notice that it will create this bracket. It will put the name of your virtual environment and put it before your command. This is to say anything we are doing, anything we are trying to install, we are not installing it directly in our system, but instead we are installing it into this virtual environment. To leave this virtual environment, maybe you want to install something on your computer, you don't want to install it in your virtual environment. All you have to do is type deactivate. So as you can see, I'm no longer within this virtual environment. So anything I install now will be installed on my laptop's root folder. But that's not what we want to do. So let's go back to our virtual environment and then go ahead and install Django. First of all, let's check if it's installed Django for us. To check that, you type Django, then for /version, yes, version. Okay, meaning Django is not yet installed. So let's go ahead and install Django. You just type pip, that is pip, install Django, like we explained earlier. So it will now go ahead and install Django within this environment, no more on our system. You know, when we install Django on our system, we encountered an error, but now you can see how we just simply installed Django. So let's check our Django version again. Let me just type Django. So there are a lot of ways to check if it was installed correctly. For example, you can just type Python. If you type Python manage.py, you guys remember the manage.py file I explained as the powerhouse of this our entire project. When you type manage.py, make migrations. This make migrations command now is to create like all our models, to arrange them within migration folders, so in a way we can easily write them onto our database easily. You guys should notice the file, everything that the file is here currently. Currently, we just have our virtual environment, our app folder, templates, and manage.py. Once we run this code now, once we make this migration, within this our folder, within this our project folder, it will create our database. By default, it's going to create an SQL dashboard for us, which is what Django is using by default. Let me show you guys. So by default, Django is making use of this DB SQLite3 as our database. So you can change that to, they have other kinds of database you can use in your own project, like Postgres. You can research out to make use of Postgres SQL and Postgres database. But to create our database, we have to first of all run that migration. that is Python manage.py, make migrations. Make migrations, then you click enter. No changes detected. That is to say, you guys, after running make migrations, it went ahead and created this db.sqlite3 for us. So this is our database currently. All the people that will be signing up on this project, if you create accounts, this is where all those accounts will be saved and managed. But let's go ahead and then properly write those migrations to that database. To write those migrations, what we do is Python manage.py. But this time, instead of make migrations, you go ahead and type migrate. That is to say, all those migrations you prepared, or yeah, push all of them onto the database. You hit enter. It will go ahead and migrate all your existing models. As you can see, it has finished migrating my default models. So for those making use of laptop, I can say you can now go ahead and say you've successfully installed you've successfully installed Django, and you've successfully set up your first app. So how are we going to know if this our setup is working properly? All we have to do is Python manage.py run server. Run server. When we click enter, we are just telling Python to open up a port in our system where we can view whatever the project, our work that is within Django project. So when we click enter, it will open up port 8. By default, it will open up port 8000. Let me show you guys. So now this is just to show that our app is now running and it's live currently. So when we navigate to this particular URL, that is 127.0.0.1 is to 8000, which is the port it opened. The 8000 I mentioned. Once you open this thing, you will see that our app is already running there, though it's still empty, but it's already running. But let's open it and see for ourselves. So when you go to your browser, and paste that link it generated, which is 127.0.0.1 is to 8000, and click enter, the installed worked successfully. This is to show that we've successfully installed Django and we've run. This is our app currently running. But then we'll come to customizing. But before we do that, let's set up Django on mobile phones for those making use of mobile phones. If you are making use of mobile phones, please indicate. Let me know. Let me be sure what you are doing. Those making use of mobile phones indicate. Okay. Emmanuel. Any other person? Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. So for those making use of mobile phone, when you open your Replit, go ahead and open Replit app on your phone. It's much easier on the phone actually. It's less stressful because Replit already looked for a way to set up most of these installations. You won't have to go through the stress of doing many things any longer. So once you are in your Replit environment, the same way you create an app, click on it, you create a new file, a new project within your Replit. Click on these three dots at the top right of your screen. select remix a template. But then instead of clicking Python here, what you are going to do is search for Django, DJANGO, that is this Django now, and click on it. Then once you've clicked on it, you go ahead and let's say give it a name. Name your project. Then let's name this one Django project. I believe you guys can see what I'm doing, right? Good. When you create this your project now, when you click on create, it will now go ahead and create this project. So after creating, to check, you will see that it's all those files that it created on the desktop version, it will still go ahead and create them for you. Let me show you guys to see the apps, the files it created. That is the manage.py and the rest of the files. This is still loading. My network is really out for me this night. So click on this panel at the bottom bottom right of your screen. When you click on that window panel icon, normally go to your folder, that is your project folder, the folder icon before the search bar. When you click on it, as you can see, just like on the desktop, it created our project for our root project, which is Django project. Then DB SQLite3, which is our database where all the user info will be saved, and then manage.py, which is like we explained earlier, our powerhouse. So with these files, with all these things being created, to run, all the next thing to do is to make your migrations and then run Django on your mobile phone. How do you do that? You click on this same window panel icon, select new tab, that is this plus icon here, click on it, type shell. Shell is your own terminal, like I explained in our second classes. Shell is your own terminal, like the command prompt in system. So here, go ahead and type within this your workspace, go ahead and type Python space manage.py, make migrations, and then click enter. Sorry, I spelled migrations wrong, so I have to go again. Python manage.py, make migrations. Okay, this is correct. And then click enter. Just like on what we saw on the laptop, on the command prompt, no changes detected. That is to say no new model, but we get to that. Then go ahead and type again Python manage.py, migrate, to migrate all your existing to migrate all your existing models that you've prepared during make migration. And then once you run Python manage.py migrate, so no migrations to apply, meaning by default on mobile phone, sorry, on mobile phones it installs it runs your make migrations and also migrates the models for you. So just go ahead and type Python manage.py dot py run server to run your server on the same port 8000. Sorry, single run server. So on mobile phone, it will ask you for permission to expose this port. As you can see, port this is, if I go to port 8000 currently, I won't see this our project, because look at this notification. Port 8000 is open but not exposed to the web. You click on expose this port. That's more underlined, expose this port. You click on it. Once you click on it, it will tell you you will see this place is wrote localhost 8000. It will tell you in front of it, in the external port, you see where it wrote set external port. Click on that and look for port 8000. These are the ports you can use, but for Django we mostly make use of 8000. So select port 8000. Then there is a link on top of this our QR code here. You can, if you go, I will copy this link and open it in my browser instead of just like using VNC on this Replit. I will copy this now, copy it, and then open it on my browser. So once I input this URL here and click enter, as you can see, the install works successfully. This is showing that our app is already running successfully. So what do we do next? Let's set up our own custom home page for this particular page. So let's set up what we want to display on this page. So how do we do that? Let me go back to my PyCharm. Let's start setting up our app now. So to set up our app, let's go ahead and create our home. Sorry, let's go ahead and set up how we want our settings to look, where we want our project to look for these template files. Let's check if by default it was set. Can you guys see my screen, please? Can you guys see what I'm doing? Because this network is trying to drive me crazy here. Okay, good. So this is our settings. Let me share it. Something else. Okay, good. I think this should be better. This should be better. Okay. I believe everyone can see what I'm doing now. So this is the default setup that we have in our settings.py file. So, okay, it's already calling the right template. That is the template in our root. The template is created for us in our root, in our base directory, which is this template. So the next thing now is to set up our home page. And to set up our home page, open on this default Django project, you will see a file named urls.py. You will see this urls.py file. Let me go ahead and remove this commentation. This comment, sorry, it's a commentation. So on this particular file, you can see that by default, we have one root created by Django. That is one link by default created by Django when we were creating the app, which is our admin link. So to create another link, all you have to do is from Django.urls, where it's imported part from. As you can see, we already have parts. There is no need importing parts again. All you have to do is click comma, import include. We'll be using this include later, but for now, let's set up our home directory. So our home URL is going to be the part. You type part, open bracket, then open and close quotation here. You go ahead and leave that open and close quotation empty. Leaving it empty in this particular base URL, you tell Django if there is no mapping, that if a user just types the domain, that is the URL of that site, this is the function you will display for them. In our case, we want to display the home function. Then go ahead and choose the name of this particular function. So it's underlined this home here, try to named home. Are you guys seeing my screen clearly? I should zoom in again. Okay. So let's define our home function. To define a function in Python, what you do is def, and the name of the function, in our case home. Let's define this home function we called here. Then open and close brackets. Within this type in request, we are calling in a Django library called named request. So then hit enter. Due to we don't have anything to input in this function, all we want from this function is to just render our home file display. What we are going to do is we'll now go ahead and type let's say return. We'll now give it what to return. That is the HTML to return. We say render bracket requests, comma, open and close quotation, home dot HTML. So let me define what we did here. I don't know why PyCharm is adding all these empty lines to my code. It's messing it up. So what we did here, we are basically telling Python, if a user opens our site domain, that is, if a user just loads 127.0.0.1, which is currently our domain for this app, if a user just loads it like that, go ahead and display this home for them. And then what is in this, the next thing the project we try to do is look for the content of this home. What is in this home? What do you guys want me to display? Then this home is just trying to tell it, I have nothing for now. All I want you to do is just render this HTML file. Render is underlined red in this manner because we've not imported render yet. So to import render, what we are going to do is from Django dot contrib from Django dot contrib dot sorry, contrib is for something else. Render is from shortcuts. From Django dot shortcuts, import render. Then the next thing it's trying to do is it will look for this home.html file, which is what we are asking it to render. It will look for this home.html file within our template folder. That is this template folder we created. Currently, if we open our project that is currently running, it will display error because that error is trying to tell us, I'm looking inside this home that you said I should look, but you said I should display home.html. I've looked in the template, I can't see any HTML file there. Let's open it and see for ourselves. Let me share the screen so you guys can understand. So let's go ahead and refresh this page. Let's go ahead and refresh this page. So it's trying to tell us that template does not exist at home.html. Like it have looked within our template folder, but it cannot see the home.html that we are requesting. So back to our project. Back to our project. All we have to do is then within right click on this our template folder. If it did not have template folder, okay, don't worry about that because I don't think by default that mobile phone has template folder. So I think I will get around that when after explaining it on desktop. So all you have to do now is right click on this template, new file. But this time around, you are not creating a Python file. What you are creating is a HTML file. That is HTML file here. Go ahead and select HTML file and type home.html and click enter. So it's after creating a HTML file, it went up and set up this our HTML file like in this manner. But first of all, let's remove this. Let's remove everything inside this file. I will bring them back, but for now, let me remove them and show you guys something. I want to run this code now, and you guys will see that instead of an error, when we go ahead and refresh this page, instead of an error, it will now display our home.html file. But guess what? It's going to be empty. That our home.html is going to be empty because we would not write any code within it. So it will just display a blank, a simple blank screen. Let's refresh. So as you can see, this is our HTML page. It has nothing to show. But while we are creating URL, I was trying to explain something to you guys about sorry, I'm coming. Let me share my screen. About why we have to leave this quotation open. So let's say, for example, that we did not leave it open, that we went ahead and gave a route in here like home. If we put home now and refresh our page, who can guess what is going to happen? Tell me what you think will happen when we refresh our page after putting home in this routing and refresh our current page? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. When we put home there and try refreshing this page, it will tell us page not found, because the page you are requesting is an empty page. It has no routing in it. You are just telling it to render 127.0.0.0.1 import 8000. Then it's looking within that folder. You gave it a bunch of URLs, even home, but this particular route is empty. So to get our page again, what we are going to do is, then in this URL include /home. Once you put /home now and click enter, it will display our normal empty HTML page. So let's go ahead and write our first HTML code to display on our app. Don't worry, we have info on it. We are getting to the info part now. So you notice we were the one that removed this setup. So this will be the title of our page. Let's go ahead and create another section. This title, let me say, let me close this. For this title, for title, I will go with okay, class app. Let me go with class app. And then let me print out something on that screen. So we are going to print H1. This is just a simple text display. Let's use H1. Hello world. When we refresh our page, we are going to see this hello world on it. But I will explain this H1 a bit, like in a bit. But let's go ahead and refresh our page first. So once we refresh, so as you can see, hello world. I don't think you guys can see my tab. If you can see my tab, if you can see my tab, it's changed my tab from link to the name of our the name of the title we gave, that is class app, but it's not currently displaying. So let's get to that H1 explanation. So let's get down to this. H1 is kind of a text size in the shift from here now. H1 is kind of a text size in Python, but let me show you other type of H we have. We have different kind of tags for text. So H1 is the biggest in the H family. We have H2. Let's say, let's put another this thing here. My name is Ruben. So on to the next H3. H3. Django. So when we run this code, we are going to see H1, hello world, H2, my name is Dubin, but all these texts, we have different sizes. The sizes of all these texts won't be the same because we are using different. Let me show you guys. I think instead of explaining, I think visual display is much better. Share. So when we go ahead and refresh this page, you can see this is the H1 big, my H2 and H3 and H3, and it goes on. Let me just type the next one, and let me just use I think one of the smallest, H6, for the next display. So let me share the rights. So let's say the next one is H6, which is going to be really tiny. So let's go ahead and refresh our page again. So this is the text we just added now. What are we here for? But that does not mean that anytime you want to type big, you want to type large this thing. Anytime you want to type bold text, that you are going to use H1 or H2. There are a few methods. Wait, let me show you guys how to. Before I start explaining this process for those making use of mobile phone, let's go ahead and show you another method that you can use to display bold text. So you can do it using any of this H, but instead of using any of this H, I will go ahead and use another kind of tag, another kind of HTML tag, which is P. So P tag is another kind of tag. Let's say welcome classmates. Welcome classmates. Then to make this appear bold, we can use simple HTML inline styling. Sorry, CSS. Instead of writing another CSS file altogether, there is a simple method you can just do within this method. You write style equals to, and then open and close a quotation. Then within your style, you set the font size. That is the size. Okay, before I set this styling, let me first of all run this p tag to show you guys what it will look like before we add our own styling. So before we add styling, this is what it will look like. Welcome classmates. Look at how tiny it is. But then let's go ahead and add our required stylings to it. So when we go ahead, after the P, you give space, type in style equals to, and close. That is the default. Okay, Mason, you can hear me, right? That is Django default default HTML text. You can use font styling, which is what we are about to do now. For example, then let's say we want the font size of this our welcome classmates to be which, okay, let me say 400 pixels. You say font, then you use colon, then type the size you want. Sorry, 400 px. Then you type semicolon. When we run this code, this text now should appear bigger, much bigger than it is currently. Let me share the screen and run it. If you're making use of mobile phone, don't worry, I will soon get to this. So when we refresh this page now, oh, sorry, I think we are it's when we go ahead and refresh this page. So this is how big it currently appears. We have to zoom out to be able to see it. I zoomed out to minus this. My current size now is minus 25%. My current screen size for you to see this. But this is the normal, like if I'm using my normal screen size, which is 100. So this is the size. This is 400px. So I made a simple correction to the code. So let me share my screen and show you guys what I did. So earlier I was using only font. It turns out font is for font style, like to choose a font style. Font is for choosing a font style, but then to choose the font size, you have to say font hyphen size for the font size. So let's reduce our font size to something reasonable like 100px, and then go ahead and refresh our page. So it will not appear that large again. Then when we refresh our page, you see this is normal. This is 100 pixels in size. So before we get to styling and then adding simple links and other functions, let's do one thing. For those making use of mobile phones, let me show you guys how it's done. So if you are on a mobile phone, so I will go to my apps, select this simple, sorry, where is that? Okay, this simple login we created, Django project we created earlier. Click on it.
So are we not making use of Python again?
It's Python we
It's
actually
Python. We actually.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is Python we
This
are
is
making. Yeah, I'm
Python.
just
Yeah, I'm just.
you
You
please mute your mic.
please mute your mic.
I'm just showing you guys how to just do simple HTML styling before we get back to creating our other functions, and then how to set up your HTML. So first of all, let's check if we have the
But
template
excuse me,
folder.
sir, please. Uh, if we use the other method, like, hope it will work.
Which other method?
Which other method? The first method you taught us now.
Of creating the
Of
project.
creating the project. Yes.
Yes, it's going to
Yes,
work.
it's going
It
to
did not
work.
work.
You know what?
Obina, did you know you
You
can't use multiple devices at the same time?
say?
You are in class
You
with
are in
both
class
phone
with
and
both phone
laptop.
and laptop. No, I'm using my phone to attend the class. Because my phone it will be lacking now if I'm doing the two.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, no problem.
Let me
Let
explain.
me explain.
Why the first method did not work for me is because like my roots, I have not set up this root folder, the root directory on this system properly. So that's why I have to first of all create a virtual environment with Django default, with default PyCharm settings. So the first method should work correctly for you without any issues. So for those making use of mobile phones, as you can see, there is no template folder for you guys. So which is to say that the template is not properly set up as well in your settings.py. So if you are making use of mobile phone and you created the project the same way I created my own, you will see this Django project folder. Click on that folder. It will list a drop down of init.py, asgi.py, settings.py. The changes we need to make now is in settings.py before we start creating our template folder. You open your settings.py, that is, you click on settings.py, scroll down to this section, section. Yes, scroll down to these template sections. That is from this section here. You scroll down to here. Click on this directory. That is on this my line 63. You see DIRS. Within that directory folder, you are going to type in capital letters base underscore dir space hyphen, then open and close your quotation. Within there, type in, sorry, use small letter throughout for this particular template. Type in template. So basically, what we are trying to do is we are telling Python for every HTML file code, for every template we are trying to render. That is when we are setting up our URLs on PyCharm. You guys saw where I did something like render, something like return render. So this place now, this line of code we change now is trying to tell Python for every particular template you are trying to render, first of all, search in our base, look for templates on our base. Within that template in our base, first of all, look for that particular file in it. If you can't find it there, then you can look for it in any other place. But this is our primary template folder. This is where you should be looking for all the templates we'll be needing for this project in our base folder templates. So once you've done that, the next thing you have to do is go back to that same section and okay, go ahead and click at the bottom of your screen. You will see new file, new folder, upload file, download as zip, show hidden file. Go ahead and click on new folder. That new folder, name it templates. That is the folder that will be housing all our templates that we told Python to look for our templates in. So go ahead and name it templates and then click add. So it have created the templates file for us. Sorry, the template folder for us. So the next thing we have to do is open our Django project. Click on this urls.py. So this is where we'll be setting up our root template, just like we did with PyCharm. I want to delete all these comments, all these instructions here. So you go ahead and import you go ahead and import, comma, include. Go ahead and import include from this, just from this line that you have part. Go ahead and import include from there. Then here, click enter. Just like we did on desktop, go ahead and type in parts, open and close brackets. You open and close a quote, comma, space. Then you give it the function, the function, it will be the function that you want to use as your base, function, which in our case home, then comma, space, and we give the name of the listen, name of this URL equals, open and close quotation, sorry, not this one, open and close quotation, home. There is nothing wrong with using double quotation, but most of the times it's just easier for me to make use of this single quotation. It's much easier for me. So the next thing we have to do is to define our home function, like we did on desktop. You say define def, then home in brackets, request, colon, enter. Then return. You are trying to tell it to return the like you are trying to tell it to return the. You can say, if you use return redirect, that means you are telling it, if anybody visits this URL, redirect them to so and so place. But then in this our case, we are not redirecting users. We are telling them, if anybody template for them. In our case, we say render. We give it a template to render. How do you give it a template? You open and close your parentheses, then type in request. That is the request you called earlier. Request, open and close quotation, home dot html. So when we run this code, once we navigate to our URL, it's going to tell us that I cannot find this particular HTML within. Okay, first of all, this code will fail because we've not imported render yet. To import render, we do from Django.shortcuts. From Django shortcuts imports render. So this is trying to tell Python that this is the render we are talking about. So Django already have a default rendering library. So we are telling Django to import this particular library so we can use it to render our HTML file. So now when we go ahead and visit our URL, it's going to tell us that it cannot find this home.html within our template folder. So what we have to do now is we go ahead What we have to do now is we go ahead, open this folder, open our template folder, click on this template folder. So within this once you click on this template folder, it will show you a drop down that says add a file or a folder. You say new file. The name of our new file in our case is home.html. Home.html. So it's now perfectly seated um, within our projects. So you did not create all those default function that was created on desktop. So what we have to do, let's just for now render a string, a simple p, okay, a simple p tag. Within it, type in welcome to, to my first home page. Then, like we did while working on PyCharm, we now go ahead and just add simple styling here. This add simple styling here, and to do that, you use the inline styling method. You say style equals to style equals to, then font hyphen size colon 100 pixels. Okay, let's use 50. 50 already at 60 px. Then you close it with a semicolon. So when we now go ahead and refresh our page, so let's see it. Let's refresh our page now. So when we refresh this our page, it should display. I think Replit have closed. This can happen at times, but don't worry, we'll get back to our project. So this happens at times. Replit can just go ahead and close your terminal when they feel like it has been dormant for a period of time. They will go ahead and close it. So Ruth, don't worry. There is a lot of code to paste in the chat. This is not just one line of code. I said don't worry. I will try and explain everything in a few minutes time. But so we go to our shell again. We go to our shell and open our port again with Python manage.py, manage.py, then run server and click enter. So it's so as you can see, this place is wrote port 8000 is opened. I will go ahead and click the link in front on. I will go ahead and click on that link. So as you can see, let me go ahead and open in browser. So as you can see, welcome to my first home page, which is what we typed into our HTML file earlier. So back to creating our back-end model. I noticed that by default, Replit created an account, like an account folder for us. But let me check what is within the account folder. Hmm. Exactly what we need, but we'll get to that. So that is it for that. Let me share my. So the next thing we have to do is to define our account. That is to create our account app. So this, for example, this is our Django project. And within this Django project, we have to create many apps within it. For example, this second Django project here is an app. Then it's our root app. Is the first app when we run manage.py anything. It will first of all, if you look at manage.py code, it's calling. Okay, let me locate that place. Django project. It's calling on these settings within this particular root folder. Within these settings now is where it houses everything. It can redirect you to what you are looking for, point you to what to different links. So this is where it's being managed, where it's being called primarily. So onto creating our account app, which will be managing our account creation and login. What we have to do is, please, before we proceed to this section, is anybody having confusion so far? Ruth, I know you joined late, but don't worry. I will explain now. I'll try to explain everything. So is anybody confused of any function or anything we've done so far? Is there anything you don't understand properly? Maybe now, what is it?
So I just started you. So all this thing now, I'm confused.
Okay, don't worry.
Okay, don't worry. Just
Hmm, just your head good. Just try and follow from me. At the end of the class, maybe if we have like 10 minutes to go, I will try and do a quick recap for both you and Ruth and every other person that joined late. So we need to be, at least let's try and finish let's know if we can enter the API, that is the views method, the views today. And so that's why we are rushing. Apart from that, any question? Please, if you have been following so far, type proceed in the chat. Let's go to the next section, which is where we'll be creating. If you've been following, type proceed in the chat. Good. Is there only one person that is following the class? You don't have question, you are not following, so I don't understand what is going on. Okay, at least I know I have. Miss Summer, you joined the class early, so where did you where are you having problem? Which part of the project are you having a problem?
So had to do something like immediately after you created a new folder and named it template. I had to do something. So I was not able to follow up the class till now.
Okay. When I share my mobile display screen again, I will show you guys how to create that folder again and try and do a recap there. But then let me create a new app within our project folder, and we are going to name that app account. That account will be managing all our authentication system, that is including sign up, sign in and log out. So to create that system, um, good. Create that system, let me first end this process. Then what you have to do is type python manage.py start app start app account. I'm going to add s because it's managing all the accounts on the platform, so it will be a bit weird to name it in a singular method, I guess. Or it's just my brain trying to confuse me. But that one aside, when I type in this and click enter, so you just went ahead and open this command this thing for me again. But that is to say, let me show you guys what happened within that. While it did, as far as it did not display any error or show that it failed, it means it executed the command we requested perfectly. So look at it now. Within our project folder, we now have a new app named accounts. So within that account, it have this init.py, admin.py, apps.py, models.py, test.py, and gist.py. So in these models, I think that's okay. Before we get to this stage, before we get here, we will have to add this account. Currently, in as much as this account is within our project folder, when we run our code, it's not going to see this account. It's not going to recognize this account as an app within our project. So to make it recognize accounts, what we are going to do is, within these settings, we'll come to this setting. Under this section, installed apps, under installed apps, you click here, click enter, open and close your quotation, and type accounts, and then comma. This is to say, by doing this, Python automatically understands it automatically starts seeing this account app as part of our project applications. But if we did not do this, it will just ignore this account entirely. It's not going to do anything with it. If we call anything, if we call an account in any of, maybe we have a wallet app, then we call account app within our wallet, but we installed wallet without installing account. Once we run the code, it will fail because it does not recognize account as part of its project parts. But by doing this, it officially recognizes account app. So after this, what we have to do next before setting up the URL for accounts is creating our models. Within this account app we created, when you click it, it will display this list of drop down for you. Double click on the models, which is where we'll be working. And then the first thing we have to do within our models, okay, it's already did that for us. Importing models, that is importing the default Django models, that is from django.database.db. That is what I just called DB database, which is what it stands for. Import models. So these models are like the pattern. We are telling Python, this is what I need, this is how I need you to store and stuffs within my database. So let's go ahead and import the next listing we need, which is abstract user. We are going to be making use of abstract user. That is, we are calling on extension of Django default users instead of outrightly creating our own user models, which is what we can do. Maybe in our next class, we'll expand on this. We touch much part of this account creation before entering another topic. But then, model creation, custom user creation, we go extensively into it. We enter deeply into that. But to import abstract user, what all we have to do is from Django dot contrive from Django dot contrive dot aut dot models import abstract user. So the next thing we have to do is define our user class, user. So this our user now, what we are trying to do here within this user is we are trying to, the informations we need from user. By default, Django is already requesting for email, username, password 1 and password 2. But then maybe we have other things we need, that is like other things we think we might need. For example, let's say you need first name. We can now do models dot character field. This is to tell Python what anything the person is entering here is a text, treat it like a text. Then give the maximum length of that text. By chance, if the person types a name a first name that exceeds 100, that is 101, and tries to submit that form is going to fail. It will fail with the error like I think error 302, I guess, or within that range. So we'll set a max length. We can also set a mean length. That is, it shouldn't be lower than this, but we are not going to be doing that because you are not the one that will suggest names for people. So last name. But then this is not why we are here. We are just going to comment this out, but we'll be making use of them later. But for now, comment them out. We don't need the two of them. So what we are going to do here, we are going to define a string that is like a very important string we are going to be needing, a field we will be needing from the Django default functions, which is the username. Once we are done with this thing, so for user to log in, they will have to make use of their username and their password. So to do that, you have to define a string here. Define a string self. This is to say this function now, this string function is inside this user class. So we are telling Python, don't look any other place, still look within your class, which is this user class. That is why we are using self here. So we say define this string function self. Within self, we say return self dot username. This is, we just set an identifier for every user. That is to say, when we are looking, like in our admin page, if we are looking, you will see something like profile form. It will show the username, or it will just display only the username. So that is what we just did here. But that one aside, the next thing we have to do is set up our form. That is our form.py. By default, it will not create the forms.py file for you, but it's within that forms.py that we are going to be saving the details we are going to request from the user. That is, the user will input the details we need, and we save them and write them into this user, which will in turn save them into the database. That is how it works. So therefore, we will go ahead and create a new file within our account, a new file, and we'll name it forms, forms, forms.py. So within this forms.py, what you are going to do is okay, we first import forms, our forms library is very important. Then we import user creation and authentication from Django authentication forms. And to import that, what we will now do from Django dot contrib dot AUT, which is auth dot AUT dot forms, import user creation form and authentication form. Then one more thing, from our user, that is from our models that we just created, from our newly created models, we need to import the user there. So how do we do that? This form is on the same directory with our models. That is to say that these forms that we are currently in and these models are within the same folder. So to call this model inside this form, all you are going to do is say from .models import user, which is that user we create. Sorry, this is capital letter U. Import user, which is that user we created in models. But if by chance the models we need that it was created within another app, let me say you have another app named something like dashboard, and that particular app is not, and that particular models is not within this account model, is not within this account app, is in our dashboard app. For example, if I have dashboard app and I want to import this particular models from them, what I would now do is from dashboard, which is the name of that app if we have it, dot models import bills. But due to we don't have it, it's marking this dashboard as red, meaning unresolved reference. I can't find dashboard because we don't have it. So that is why we are using dots here instead. So due to the models and this particular form is in the same folder, instead of saying from accounts dot model import user, we just say from dot models import user. That is it's called best practice. So let's go ahead and define our forms. The first form we are going to define, which is we say class. What are we going to do? Let's use something like custom creation form. Okay, yes, let's do that. Okay, it's suggested a name for us, and I think I like this name. So we named our class custom user creation form. Then within this custom user creation form, we are calling on this particular form, that this particular user creation form from Django, the one we imported from Django forms. We are calling it inside here. We are telling it, chairman, come, we are going to be needing you within this class. So the next thing we have to do is, if we go ahead and write our method code straight, or our init straight, it's going to bypass email. It's not going to get the email field from the user. But then want the user to input email while creating the account. All you have to do here is type email. But instead of doing it here, you can still go ahead and include this in your models. But I say let me include it here. It's faster that way. So you say email equals to forms.email field. So within this place, I'm going to set some I'm going to be setting some what am I going to call them now? Some tags input, like some, okay, in HTML there is something. Okay, let me show you guys something. It is about to get crazy. So let's say, for instance, I have an input. This thing. Sorry. I have an input tag. What am I doing? Let's say exactly. Let's say I have an input tag, and what are we going to put in here now? There is, and you want to make this in such a way that user cannot bypass this particular input. All you have to do is type required here. Once you type user cannot submit that form without filling that form. But before we get to this, let me show you guys how we can do that in model. So when we get to HTML, there will be no need for that. So to do that within your backend code, all you have to do is do required. That is, you are setting whether the form is required into true or false. If you put it as false, it will treat it as like optional. User can fill it or they cannot fill it. But with this method, they don't have a choice. So this is where example of where boolean comes in. That is, to be true or false we define as a type of variable. This is where we are making use of it for the first time, I think. So we now say help text. This help text is like, within HTML, the way you can write this help text is, you say something like placeholder equals to, you type what you want to be in the placeholder. That is, when some of those files you are filling on the internet, you see some of them within that place that you are meant to type in your name or anything, you will see something like name here, or it will write something like Jane Doe, telling you that this is where you would be to write your name. This is where your name is meant to be in. So you say, to input that straight from your form, what you have to do is help text. You do help text. Equals to, open and close this thing, require tab, enter the valid email. So once user try submitting a careless form, that maybe they go and type something like, within the email field, they go and type something like, should I say, they just type their name without putting at so.com. they will see this error. So it will appear sort of like a warning, a red warning. Required, enter a valid email system. Sorry, I mentioned something earlier. Placeholder and this help text, they are not the same thing. Placeholder have their own different function, but I will define that. I will explain that when we get to. So after we must have like set up our email field, like the way we want our email field to look. The next thing we are going to do is create our like subclass, our subclass meta, to define what's like the fields that we need, the fields that we need to save to our user model. So model is user, that is our user model, default our custom user model. Then this is the fields we need for this, that we need stored in the user model. They will be username, email, sorry, password one, and then password 2. So let's create our second class so we know we are done with forms. Let's create our, so on our second class we are going to create custom authentication form. This is for users to log in with, like this is for account creation. This second one now will be for logging logging into an already created account. So what do we do? Custom account, it's custom authentication form. So then within this we call our authentication form library that we imported earlier. This is where we are going to be calling it. And then this is quite simple. We are going to leave we are going to just leave this empty because we are going to do the main login logic in this thing. In views we say pass, so pass, just leave it like this for now. So we are done with our forms. Next we are going to be setting up our views. We are going to be setting up our views, but it will be in our next class as we are already out of time. I have to do a recap for those that joined the class late. Please, next class we'll be concluding this particular account creation and user login. But in the next class, please try and join on time, because once we start, we have a lot to cover. So I don't think we are going to be stopping for anybody in our next class. So Obinna, are you making use of phone or laptop? I know Ruth is making use of phone. So I want to know about Obinna. Obinna. It seems he's no longer in the class. Ruth, are you still with us? Okay. Ruth, do you have a question, or you are just raising hand to indicate you are still in the class?
Just to indicate I'm in the class.
Please, if you, I can't hear you.
Just to indicate I'm in the class.
Okay, no problem. If you have any question, please go ahead and raise your hand. Let me know those. You can raise your hand, or you can type your question in the chat, or you can just unmute your mic and ask your question if you have any questions so far, or if there is any part of the project that is confusing you. To start a new Django project on your phone, what you are going to do root is, let me share my mobile screen. So what you are going to do is open your Replit as usual. At the top right of your screen, top right corner of your screen, you will see this three dots icon. This three dots icon is there. When you click on those icons, click select remix templates. But this time around, you are not selecting Python. What is going on? Root. Wait, don't worry, you can stop sharing your screen. Let me show you guys. Let me show you what you have to do first. So, let me go ahead and share my screen again. So when you click that icon, it will display this window for you, but don't select Python. What you are going to do instead is, in your search bar, type Django, Django. Click on Django. Title, give your Django app a name. For example, okay, pet login. You can go ahead and name your login system or anything you want. Then go ahead and click on create. So when you do this, it will create a new Django project for you, and within that your Django project, you will see this kind of setup. You will see Django in your in your display section. You will see Django project, DB SQLite, which is the name of our database, and manage.py, which is like the powerhouse of our Django project. Until when we are hosting, it's the powerhouse until when we will take this platform live. Then if we are taking it live, if we are using cPanel, it will now be WSGI, will now be the new powerhouse. But if we are using a dedicated server, but that is advanced. If we are using dedicated server, manage.py still remains the oga patapata, like the general overseer. But that one aside, you go ahead and set up you click on this Django project. It will display all these drop downs for you, settings, URLs, and the rest. If you click on settings, this is to set up our templates where anything, if we are about to render any templates, we are about to tell Python, anytime I tell you to render a template, first of all, look for that particular template here. So to set up that particular template, we come to our settings.py, click on this section, this in this template function, click on this DIRS, then go ahead and type in the name you want to give to your this thing. The name you want to the name of your template folder. In our case, we are using templates, so you use all caps, do base, underscore dir, then put this forward slash space and then open single quotation and close it. Within that your quotation, type template. It must not be template, but by like it's better to name it template so you easily remember anytime you need anytime you want to look for your base template, your base render folder. So that's why we mostly make use of templates, something you can easily remember. So even when naming variables, you have to use stuff you can easily remember. So this is to say, anytime we are telling Python to render anything, we first of all look for it here. So one more thing to do, to know if our project setup was completed successfully, you open your shell. On your shell, you type in Python manage.py. You first of all make migration to generate your migration files, like set up the method of writing to database. So how you do that is you say Python manage.py make migrations, click enter. So no changes detected, meaning that by default it's already made our required migrations. Then you say Python manage.py migrate. So this is to say it's have already created our, by default it's already created our migration files, and it have already run the migration. It migrate by default on mobile phones. So but we'll get to that in our next class though. Then to open your project, to see your project and make sure your project is complete, all you have to do then is Python manage.py run my keyboard is misbehaving. What I'm basically trying to do here is just type run server. Okay. So this shows that we've successfully opened port 8000 on our device. But one thing is happening. If it's on laptop, once you run your project and open this link, this 127.0.0.1 is to 8000. Once you do that and open that link, it's going to display our the app for you, that is the project you are running. But on mobile phone, you have to give permission for our URL to use our port 8000 on mobile phone. To do that, click on the settings icon in front of that place they wrote port 8000 opened but not exposed to the web. Click on that settings. It will open up this section for you. Beside that local host, under the external port colon, you click on that thing. You click on that set external port. It will display all these ports for you. But for Django, for Python, most of the times our default required port is port 8000. So you go ahead and select 8000. Immediately you do that, this link becomes active. If you click on this link, it will open up our project for you. So as you can see, it's basically telling us that our project is running successfully. This is our setup. So and that is this. I think this was where you joined the class. This is where you joined the class when I was writing the all the H tags and the P tags, right? Ruth and Miss Oma, you guys still confused. Ruth and Miss Oma. Okay, good.
No, sir.
Okay, okay, no problem. It seems Miss Oma is no longer in the class. Any other confusion so far? Ruth, from next in our next class, we'll continue from here. We'll continue from this place on mobile. Then we'll then proceed into the laptop display. Please, if you know you understand everything correctly, please go ahead and type my understanding in the chat. Let me be sure. For those still in the class, please, if you understand, type. Let me be sure of those. You can react as well. If you know you understood everything I explained this night, you can just use a simple reaction. So in our next class, we proceed with writing our API and URLs, then styling our login system. So in our next class, by the end of our next class, hopefully we must have finished our login system. Users will be able to create accounts and then log into their various accounts they created. And then I'll teach you guys how to manage your admin panel and how to set it up and manage the admin panel as well. So that is all for today. Good night. You guys can leave the class now. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good night, guys.